Good news, everybody. In the UK, cash is making a comeback, and this is absolutely necessary because the globalists, the powers that be, the big banks, the government, the World Economic Forum, all that set want to get rid of cash, crash and collapse the economy, and bring in a central bank digital currency. I mean, this is their plans. They're very open about this, and that's what they want to do. They do not want people to have the freedom to be able to give each other money without them knowing about it and without them controlling what you do. They do not want you to be able to spend any money at all without them programming your money and allowing you to spend money on certain things, because they want to be able to stop you from purchasing meat or petrol or diesel or eggs, or clothes or flights or long train journeys, if they so wish, which is what already happens to some extent in China. And that's already linked in with social credit scores. So if you have a high social credit, you're a member of the Communist Party, and you're a good little boy or girl and you do everything they say, maybe you oppress other people as well, you get a high credit score and you can buy anything you want. But if you have a low credit score, you're not a member of the Communist Party, and you may be suspected of having thoughts in your head which are anti-government or something, then you will have a low credit score and you won't be allowed to go on a plane, you won't be even allowed to buy a train ticket, and your food may be restricted. And also, if you don't have one of these things, then that will get you a low credit score as well. They want to bring this in the West, all over the world. But the people are resisting and are waking up to this, which is a very, very good thing. So it was reported this week that in the UK, there has been a decline in cash transactions, a precipitous decline from 2010 down to 2020. But then it stopped, it was flat, and last year, in 2022, the number of cash transactions actually went up from something like 5.7 billion to 6.3 billion, something like that, cash transactions in the country. Now, the largest form of transactions by consumers is debit cards, and the crossover there was 2017. Before 2017, cash was the most used form of currency, but in 2017, debit cards overtook cash, and there's been a crossover ever since. Debit cards have been increasing and cash has been going down until 2020. And I think people are realizing now, to keep cash alive, to keep cash, you've got to use it or lose it. So there's a graphic that appeared on a number of media websites. This is in the mainstream media as well. I'm showing the one from the BBC here. It's sourced from UK Finance. And you can see the difference in the three major forms of spending, the methods of spending currency in the UK. But you see, cash is still ahead of credit cards and always has been. Credit cards are lower than cash. It's been increasing, but it's not going up as much as cash. Just 4 billion credit card transactions, but no one is suggesting that we should get rid of credit cards, even though there are fewer transactions with credit cards than with cash. It's only cash that seems to be the target of globalists and futurists and technocrats and this motley crew of people who want to take away our freedom. And in the COVID lockdown times, they even were saying that cash can spread COVID. You shouldn't touch notes that have been touched by somebody else. Never mind the fact that you might hand a note to someone and somebody hand you, you're buying goods in a shop and 10 different people have touched all of the different goods that you're buying, in the factory, in the truck, in the lorry, unloading the lorry, the person that puts it on the shelves, other people going around the shop, the person handing you something behind the counter is touching the product, but they can't touch a note because that's got COVID on it. I mean, this is utterly ridiculous propaganda against cash that has been coming out in the last 2 or 3 years, which is all nonsense, and it's all because the powers that be want to introduce a new global financial system which will be tyrannical and under which you will not have freedom. And we've spoken about that many times before, what that's going to look like. So, you know, everyone who is getting on board this campaign, I've been speaking about it, many other people have been speaking about it, use cash whenever you can. And, you know, these figures show, you know, there's a total there. Interestingly, if you add up the numbers on the chart, it comes to 33 billion. Well, I don't know if that means anything. In this particular chart, obviously, that's a number that means something in other contexts. I think it might just be coincidence here. But you know, if you divide that by the population of the UK, which is officially 66 million, but is probably more like 70 to 75 million with all the people who are here illegally. But, you know, that gives approximately 500 transactions per year, per person, with people acting as consumers in a shop buying things. So 500 times a year on average, we would make purchases. And so we have there, you know, something like 20% of our purchases are in cash, so 1 in 5. Well, if we can increase that to 1 in 4, and then 1 in 3, and then 1 in 2, this graph is going to change, and the use of cash is going to go up again. So let's continue to make that happen. And I obviously they've made it very, very easy to use a debit card contactless. You know, they brought in contactless, you know, over 10 years ago, but the limit was £15 to start with. And then they raised the limit to £45, and then they raised the limit again to £100. So now you can use your contactless debit card or credit card. Anything under £100 is just you get your card, put it on the machine, and it debits your account straight away or adds it to your credit card balance. So they've made it very, very easy and convenient to use debit and credit cards for small purchases. But, you know, we have to think. And the reason that this is so convenient is to get people to stop using cash. Then they can bring in the digital currency, the global central bank digital currency system. The more people that go back to using cash, like I have in my small purchases, I mean, obviously I still use a debit card online because you know, to buy things on the internet. I'm not saying get rid of the internet, of course, absolutely not. That's very good. You know, it's a technology we can use if we use it rightly. But we have to keep on using cash. Use it for small purchases. So you go and have a coffee somewhere, pay cash. You buy a bottle of water in the station, pay cash. You buy a newspaper, if you still do that. I don't buy newspapers because most of what's in them is junk these days. But if you do use cash, I go to the local butchers now and the local greengrocers to buy fruit and veg rather than getting it at the big supermarket, and I pay cash for that, you know. So do those kind of things, and these numbers for cash will keep going up, which will be a very, very good thing. So, you know, thank you for watching these videos, and everyone who is, you know, in all various parts of the country and the freedom movement all around, you know, actively making choices every day to use cash, to keep cash alive. You're not just keeping cash alive, you're keeping freedom alive. And that is a very, very good thing. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for watching as well. God bless you all.